Pardon me and my tone. You can't step to my throne. They ain't working like me. I did this on my own. You asking where we been, huh? I don't know where to begin, huh? All this dirt on my skin. I just came here to win. I'm more than a man, I'm a monster. Somebody call a pastor, doctor. I got a 6 cents for imposters. So now I'm coming for the whole roster. It's not a game, why you playing with me? You could double back, lose track, try and hang with me. It must be in my veins, something you can't tame, cause I break the chains. Can't control me. I got the power, I got the keys, cause I break the chains. They try to hold me, I'ma push back, just wait and you'll see. Please excuse me, your honor, but you can't hold me no longer. Can't you feel the vibrations? I broke out and left traces. Go ahead, try catch me if you can, man. You'll be looking all night, I'm the Sandman. New York, London to Japan. I'ma show the whole world who I am. Boom, boom, boom. Major look.
Bomb Squad! Bomb Squad! Once again, thanks for tuning in. You're listening to World Combat Sports. What's good this morning, everyone? You know what it is. Salute to the WCS supporters as always. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. This is what it is. We had another one. Catchweight 762. You know, it's boxing and a smidget of mixed martial arts on the back end with Israel Adesanya stepping in there for a rematch against Marvin Vettori. It's a big fight. It is. It's a big fight. And I'm gonna tell you why a little bit later. But first of all, we want to talk about Manny Pacquiao and Errol Spence Jr. Why is this so important? If you're in the building, you know, do me a favor and hit the like button. You know, share the content if you feel like it. It's all about what you want to do. Because like I say all the time, if you really fucking with the channel and support it, then guess what? You already know what to do. This ain't your first day on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to spend 30 minutes telling you to drop a super chat. I'm not going to say hit the like button every other minute. I think that's a waste of time of boxing media. You know what I'm saying? We grown adults here. Do what you do. King Mitch, what's good? He said, Manny been on cycle for the past 18 months. He'd be strong cycling off, so to speak. Listen, Manny Pacquiao, when he fought Keith Thurman, we all know before that when he fought Adrian Broner, there was no testing, y'all. I remember telling people in these group discussions that Manny Pacquiao's performance looked a certain way because, you know, somehow, some way they were just trying to build him up for this moment. It was no testing. They was just allowing Manny to just frolic through boxing and stand away from important testing. You know, he's been able to elude the speculation. There's been a lot of talk if Manny was clean throughout his career. There's been a lot of talk. And we need to understand why Adrian Broner jumped on live and say, hey, man, these people ain't been over here, man. You know, what's going on? They're not testing. Same thing with the Lucas Matisse. Lucas Matisse fight, heard he ain't goddamn get tested either. You know what I'm saying? And Keith Thurman, I can put a lot of blame and point the finger at him on the way he acted leading up to that fight. It seemed like he just didn't really take it 100% serious to keep his title, which at the time was the WBA super title. And Manny came in there, and for his age, he looked decent. He did the damn thing. You know, he performed well. But check this out. Manny's gonna come in here with Errol Spence. A young hitter still in the sport of boxing, unified welterweight world champion. Manny Pacquiao's coming in here after a 2-year layoff. His last fight was July 2019. when he stepped in there with Keith Thurman. He hasn't been back in the ring since. So as we looking at it, he's due to step back into the square against Errol Spence in August 21st. That would have been over a 2-year period. A 2-year period. No VADA testing. And like Mitch just said, Manny's probably been, over there doing what he's doing, He's scared of needles, but he's getting it somehow. He's been over there, getting a hold of that good liquid. And then they want to make sure, okay, now we have a fight date. Now this is when we need to be cycling off this shit. We're going to do it perfect. And to be honest, I don't even think if Manny was to, get close to this fight, are they going to go there and give him a piss test? Because Manny has this sense of not entitlement, but boxing royalty where he get this special motherfucking treatment all the time. If they hold him accountable, like Floyd Mayweather did, he's going to look like shit. He's not going to perform to the best. I don't care what people saying that he's going to come in there. He got a chance of beating Spence. Listen, if they drug test him properly, the right way, Manny isn't going to come close to looking the way he did against Keith Thurman. Even with Keith Thurman somewhat taking a back step to what we usually seeing from him. You know what I'm saying? His performance was blemished. You know what I'm saying? Even with that, Manny Pacquiao, he's going to look much different coming in there if they do their job. He's going to look 42 years old, boxing years, 56 and a half years old when he steps in there with Errol Spence. He is. We know Errol Spence is not a KO artist, all right? He's went the distance with a Danny Garcia as of recent. He went the distance with Sean Porter after dropping him in the 11th round. He's one of those guys who break you down. And Manny Pacquiao for 12 rounds is one of those fighters that I see at his age that could be broken down with Spence. It's just all about if he digs to the body early. If Spence digs to Manny's body early, you know what I'm saying? Break him down, slow them wheels to the point where Manny has to stay in place and box Errol Spence from the mid to late rounds. Errol might stop Manny Pacquiao, especially if he ain't on the juice too. He might stop him. Mitch said, "Comeback, what up?" He already has the benefits. Yeah, he absolutely has the benefits, man. People don't get all upset when it comes to Manny Pacquiao's name. And then, many people have speculated Manny Pacquiao to be on the juice. So don't come over here crying about, why are you making accusations or whatever about Manny Pacquiao. It's been speculated for quite some time. Many people have talked about Manny potentially being on the gear, as they call it. Many people. But when someone like myself said, it's like, oh man, you just hate. I'm not hating on Manny. Manny is Manny, man. I just know, throughout certain periods within his career, he's looked his age. He showed wear and tear. He showed a decline. But yet, the Adrian Broner fight, the Keith Thurman fight, and now that is VADA testing for him and Spence. I'm looking at it like, shit, he's trying to go in there and be Mr. Clean. I think he's going to look way worse than he did against Keith Thurman. I think it's going to look bad. I think it may just look like my picture that I got up here that people, don't want me to keep on putting up there. It might look like this Manny Pacquiao right here. When he fights Spence, this is what he might look like. Real talk. He may indeed look like this on fight night with Errol Spence. Seriously, that may be the case. Mitch say Thurman was touching Manny up though. He won't be able to take that much punishment from Errol and win the fight. I don't think boy would throw the towel in. Yeah, that's a possibility for the towel to get thrown in on Manny because people love Manny out there. Of course they would throw the towel in on Manny. Of course, at his age, him being a politician, he has a lot more influence from the general public in the U.S., Philippines, or whatever because he is a politician. He is having his collateral duties outside the sport of boxing right now. He is in a class of his own, A division world champion. It's a lot that Manny's done to the sport. But at this point right here, I'm telling you people, a clean Manny going in there against Errol Spence at 42 years old, knowing that he's in his late 50s when it comes to boxing age, them boxing years, he's gonna look bad. He's gonna look bad. There's nothing no one's gonna be able to tell me. This ain't George Foreman. This ain't nobody that came back later on in their career and was fighting. No, Manny Pacquiao has been stopped 3 times in his career. He has 7 defeats. His knockout loss against Juan Manuel Marquez was brutal. It was face first. Manny wasn't even freaking breathing. It looked like he wasn't even breathing. He was just laying face first. He wasn't even moving, rather. His mom was hysterical on the sideline. Well, listen, I hope his mom don't come to this fight with Errol Spence because I truly believe a clean Manny goes in there and gets stopped. Thurman thought shit was sweet. He had a lot of fake confidence coming to the Pac fight. Dumbass tried to walk Manny down in the first round. Fuck was he thinking? The one thing about Keith Thurman, it has been fights where he was walking his opponent down, but you wasn't in 100% condition to go in there and do that against Manny Pacquiao. Mentally, we believe that you wasn't totally committed to retaining your title. There's a lot of questions that us as hardcore boxing fans, we just look at that night of Keith Thurman and say, okay, what was he not doing when he was preparing for Manny Pacquiao? That's our question. Like, why were you so unfocused? I mean, I understand you got married and everything, and you was on top of a hill playing a vuvuzela and just, trying to connect and find your center. We got all that. But the rumor mill of you being in a casino to the late night where an odd, strange connection where Adrian Broner had to tell you to leave or something like that, and then you eating ice cream before you go fight, that to me is all the telltale signs that you weren't planning on keeping your belt. Real talk. That's all I have to say. Look, Keith Thurman is a great verbal promoter. When he want to talk that trash, his bravado is on point. He'll talk his shit. But he went into that fight with the wrong mindset against Manny Pacquiao. And we have to question Vada. You know what I'm saying? We have to test and ask the question, was Manny Pacquiao clean at the Keith Thurman fight? That's just my thought. Drew Titan in the building, man. Salute to you, my brother. Y'all definitely be sure to go over there and salute the brother Drew Titan. Just got off a live this morning. Go over there and subscribe to the channel and support him. King Mitch say, I don't think his training longtime friend will throw the towel in. Ain't in Breland shit. Boo boy ain't in that Breland shit. He'll let Manny go out on his shield. Well, I look at it this way, King Mitch. Manny Pacquiao's been out on his shield before. You know what I'm saying? At this point in time, Manny is old enough to find himself in the hospital. He's old enough to be hooked up to all the damn tubes and everything. We may see the Adonis Stevensons. We might see the a Maxim Dadashev. You know what I'm saying? We might see the Jared McLean. Manny Pacquiao has been in the sport so long and he's taken so much punishment over time. You really don't know when that culminating moment is going to take place. When mentally you take this punishment, you take the punches from a volume puncher like Errol Spence, though. What if Errol Spence come out there and he have success early with Manny Pacquiao? What if Errol Spence really put that present pressure on Manny Pacquiao early? And all the years he's been boxing, it boils into this moment right here where his functionality neurologically starts to decline. It starts to fail him. Manny Pacquiao can get injured. He can, he can get in some serious trouble in this fight with Errol Spence. It's just the strength of it all. See, we can't gauge Keith Thurman and Errol Spence because they ain't fought. But we do know Danny Garcia has stepped in there with Keith Thurman. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think Keith Thurman gave Danny Garcia a beating like Errol Spence did. Errol Spence gave Danny Garcia a thrashing. I don't think for a fact that Thurman even came close to giving him that same type of punishment. Bruce goes, what's good? Salute my brother. Mitch say Thurman was thinking about the check and ducking Spence even more. Shit got real when Pac knocked him down in the first. Got even more real after the body shot in the later rounds. Absolutely, Mitch. You know, the look right there in the thumbnail says it all about Thurman. Thurman coming here playing boxing. He knows better. He's a former unified champion. You can't come in here and play boxing with experience, future Hall of Famer, 8 division titleist like Manny Pacquiao. And then you can't sit up there and agree and sell your soul not to have strict damn Vada testing. So you wanted somehow, some way to surrender. You didn't want the whole package because you knew you was cashing out right then, there, Thurman. And that's why you haven't been able to get that respect from Errol Spence that you want. And also to attach when Errol Spence was calling you out, he was looking at you. He was basically giving you the eye attention that you wanted. You wouldn't even really engage this man and look him in the eye respectfully as a man and tell him what he wanted to hear. If you didn't want to fight him, you should have looked over there and say, I'm not trying to fight you right now. But every time when y'all was in, you remember when y'all was on the same panel, it was Showtime. And they was asking you, they was drilling you about fighting Errol Spence. You never gave that man the love. You never gave him the attention and say, okay, I'll fight him. I'll fight him. Let's unify the division. I'll fight him. When you had the WBA and the WBC title, all Errol Spence has was the IBF title. And you never showed that man love. Now that's why he don't want to fuck with you. I feel it's petty of Errol Spence to do that. But now when he's the unified champion and you never gave him a shot, when it comes to the brothers are not going to really be as easy to turn that motherfucking cheek. You know what I'm saying? The brothers ain't that, we ain't that easy to turn the cheek, man. It's not that easy, bro. And Keith Thurman should understand why he's being somewhat sidelined instead of being in the bigger matches, because Errol Spence was calling your ass out. Now Errol Spence is about to step in the ring with the same fighter that dropped you, and he was able to take your title from you. And he's going to do it way better. And I believe Errol Spence truly has an opportunity to go in there and stop Manny Pacquiao. And I say that because of Vada testing. Vada, from a fighter like Manny Pacquiao who said he was scared of needles, I think he's scared of Vada too. It's a lot more shit that can go on over there in the Philippines leading up to a fight. Real talk. We talk about this UK bullshit all the time. How, excuse me, I like the therapeutic exemption, please. You can give me that therapeutic exemption. That's just a waiver for them to get on some damn gear and get off that motherfucker. A therapeutic exemption. That's why a lot of people respect Spence for going over there and getting his title from Kell Brook in his backyard, because so many felt that he would be up against somebody who wasn't clean. But he went through hell and high water and he got the stoppage. I feel if he can go in there and do what he did to Kell Brook in his backyard, even though Spence has also, put it out there that he hasn't exactly been 100% focused previously to, his situation with, Sean Porter and in that part of his career. Now that he's saying he's rededicated after the accident, he's refocused and his mind is in another place. So heading into this fight, coming off that Danny Garcia win, I truly believe Spence is going to go in there and blast through Manny Pacquiao. I know earlier I said that Spence may, be nice to Manny, because he's a politician. He may want to keep those little Filipino fans. I don't know. Spence said himself that he planned on going in there and knocking Manny out. And with Vada testing in effect, guess what? I think the towel may come in and they may save Manny Pacquiao and say, hey, it's time to put on a suit and tie and go lead your people. Andrew Charles in the building. What's good with you, bro? Salute to you. Spence whooped Danny like nobody ever had. To Thurman credit, he may have fought a better Danny Garcia, though. But to Spence credit, he admittedly wasn't his best self versus Danny. When you say fought a better Danny Garcia, what you mean fought a better? What was in Danny Garcia's possession when he stepped in the ring with Keith Thurman? Danny had a belt, right? You know what I'm saying? Danny had a belt, shouty. You got to hold that champion to his accountability. Did Danny have a belt going in there with Keith Thurman? So it ain't no excuse, man. It's no excuse. Real talk. It ain't excuse. Keith Thurman picked up that WBC belt from Danny. And Errol Spence picked up that WBC belt from Sean Porter. The wild part about it is that Danny Garcia lost to both Sean Porter and Errol Spence. But Sean Porter didn't beat Danny Garcia like Errol Spence did. Keith Thurman didn't beat Danny Garcia like Errol Spence did. So I can't say that, Keith Thurman may have fought a better Danny Garcia, because he just fought for the WBC vacant title against Sean Porter, dog. I mean, he had his opportunity. People still want to keep Sean Porter. If you're in the ranking system, that bullshit ass ranking system, and they want to keep you at the top and keep throwing you in there for these championship fights, then we can't sit up here and parlay the fact that, it was a better Danny Garcia because he stepped in there with a belt. No, shawty. We have to hold him to the same standard. Danny was Danny. He was beat by Keith Thurman. It is what it is. That's my take on that. People really need to understand the crucialness of this damn fight for Manny Pacquiao. It's a great possibility Manny Pacquiao may be injured if Errol Spence give him that Danny Garcia work. Seriously. They say, oh, well, Manny Pacquiao, he has a volume puncher. He move around. He uses his feet a lot. I get it. Manny Pacquiao calves is bigger than most of us, our computer screens. He has some big ass calf muscles. But those calf muscles are just like tires that have tread. It's worn. They have been through a journey unlike any other in the sport of boxing. But you have to understand, he is susceptible to being injured in this fight. We can't just say Manny Pacquiao is just the average 42 years old in the sport of boxing. There's no way. Manny Pacquiao is well into his 50s when you add on the punishment he's received and the amount of fights that he has competed in his career. 62 victories, 7 defeats, y'all. 62 victories, 7 defeats. Dude has been around. That's a lot of damn fights, man. And y'all not doing a juxtapose with the way Danny Garcia look. I started to create a thumbnail on this shit. I was gonna put Danny Garcia's picture up there when he fought Errol Spence. And I was gonna put Danny Garcia's picture up there when he fought Sean Porter and Keith Thurman. Totally different visuals that you get when it comes to like, damn, who did they fight again? Who the fuck did they fight all the way over to the right? What's this picture right here? It was so much to the point where post-fight conference, they asked Danny a question and he referred it to he deflected to his dad. Hey, you can ask dad. You know, let dad answer that shit right there, man. Goddamn, Errol. Errol goddamn whooping my ass like that. Man, Errol put a beating on Danny Garcia. If he put that type of beating on him, what do you think he's going to do to Manny Pacquiao? It's over. It's over. Period. It's over. That's all I'm saying. This shit is absolutely over. Throw in the towel with somebody, find Mark Breland in the audience and have him come down there if his team can't do it and have Mark Breland throw in the towel because he's good at that shit. Have him do it. Have him throw the damn towel in. That's something you have to think about, people. (62-7-2). He has 2 draws. Forgot to mention the 2 draws. 39 knockouts, Manny Pacquiao. 62 victories. The man has over 70 professional fights. 70 professional fights. He has over 70 professional fights. Unbelievable. And Manny's height is only 5'5.5". 5'5.5". This man has basically, look, this man has defied most odds that people would give fighters stepping in there with the fighter that was 5'11", 6 feet, or even a fighter like Sebastian Fundora, who's like 6'6", 6'7". Manny Pacquiao is 5'5.5", and his reach doesn't even translate over to the 70 inches. He has a 67-inch reach. And he was able to become 8 division champion. Look, it's an historic career that Manny Pacquiao's had. But when it comes down to Errol Spence, though, there's a big chance that Manny can leave out on a stretcher. It's a big opportunity. I know people looking at Manny as if somehow, some way, people just overlook the fact that he's been punished in his career. Like he's faced 3 knockouts in his career. They truly believe he cannot be Maxim Dadashev when Buddy McGirt was pleading with him. Are you taking too much punishment from Matias? We're taking too much punishment. He's like, no, I'm good. No, Max. I got to stop the fight, Max. No, Max. You're taking too much. I got to stop the fight, Max. Max got out the ring. They was trying to, take him back. He ended up falling out. And everybody's physical anatomy is different. Everybody look at Manny Pacquiao as being invincible. Manny Pacquiao is invincible. He can be stopped again. They continue to give Manny Pacquiao the green light because of what he's been able to accomplish in the sport. But if he continued to hang around like he's doing, he might find himself being talked about as somebody who stayed around the sport too long. Manny stayed around the sport too long. Why didn't anyone tell him? No, because they want to make that money. Because Manny's making that money, right? Manny's ticket, his baseline is great. He's making that money. But Manny also might be a victim of an individual that has CTE, up the road, dementia. He's taking an extreme amount of punishment. Just because Manny don't speak English all the time doesn't mean he ain't suffering. So my biggest question, right, my biggest question to all of this when it comes to Manny versus Errol, is Errol going to be a nice guy? Is he going to be tough enough just to care, Hold on for a second. Hold on for a second. Okay, I'm back. That's just my big concern, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to Manny Pacquiao. I know a lot of people want to see him fight, especially when you have Filipinos stepping in there with a unified champion as Errol Spence, top pound for pound on the list right now. So people want to see Errol Spence get this name Manny Pacquiao on his resume. But you do know that Errol Spence has enough strength. He has enough physical ability. He has enough left in the gas tank to really cause Manny some extreme punishment. He is that guy right now. He has enough physical ability to inflict some serious damage on Manny Pacquiao. So you have the decision-making process of Errol Spence. What is he planning on doing on fight night in August against Manny Pacquiao? Is he going to make a statement? Because if he make a statement, it won't matter. Truly, if he goes and watches Manny Pacquiao, it's going to be like, okay, you went in there against a fighter that age. And then for Manny Pacquiao, guess what? We already know everything we need to know about Manny Pacquiao. So each round he goes with Errol Spence is a win for him, because they say, oh man, we're in the 7th round. Manny Pacquiao, unbelievable. The Manny Pacquiao goes the distance with Errol Spence. Guess what? The tone is going to be quite different. It's going to be quite different than what you think. They're going to praise this man like he was the king, like he was the anointed one. They're going to say, man, they're going to run Manny Pacquiao's name so much in the media. Manny Pacquiao goes the distance with Errol Spence in a losing effort, but wins the praises of the boxing gods. We will enshrine Manny Pacquiao in the pantheon of boxing. If he goes the distance with Errol Spence, a little of that enlightenment that Errol's looking for, having Manny on his record, will be just a little bit dim, because people will say, why you didn't take the old guy out? And then for Manny Pacquiao, if you do go the distance with Errol Spence, you need to take your ass out the sport. You need to go ahead and take your ass out the sport before you have dementia, before you really truly knock the gloves and hang them up. You need to get out the sport so you can still, be around your family and have that fun. You know what I'm saying? Because things going to change when you get 50, Manny. Believe that, shawty, for real. Listen to somebody who knows. Things going to change around when your body leaves the sport and it starts settling into that less active type of environment that you're not used to outside of training for boxing and stuff like that. We're talking about 2, 3, 4 years. Your body goes through changes, man. So you need to cash out with Errol Spence, go in there and fight your best fight, and try to take as less punishment as possible. If somebody think they know, what do you believe going to happen with Errol Spence? Do you believe he's going to blast through Manny Pacquiao and give him that freaking Sean Porter work? You think he's going to give him that Danny Garcia work? You think he's going to give him that Lamont Peterson work? Even though it's two different styles, I get it, but I'm just saying he blasted Lamont. Lamont was a good guy. I'll say, goddamn, somebody get Lamont out of the ring. Is he going to give him that Kell Brook work? Will we see a Carlos Ocampo cameo? Will he even make it out the first round? I mean, I'm just curious. I'm just popping questions out there for you. Not taking anything away from Spence because he whooped him easy, but Danny was undefeated and more in his prime when he fought Thurman. He was a tune-up for Spence. Styles really make fights. So I look at it like this, bro. Once again, I totally get what you're saying there, Mitch. Totally understand what you're saying. But just do me this favor, bro. When you talk about Danny Garcia being undefeated when he fought Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia only has 3 losses on his record. He's lost to Thurman, Sean Porter, Errol Spence. He fought Keith Thurman in 2017. He fought Sean Porter in 2018. He comes back in 2020 after fighting 2 fighters in between. Look, stopping Adrian Granados for the first time, Shouty. Stopping Adrian Granados for the first time. And somehow, some way, going the distance with Ivan Redkach. But he was the first to stop Adrian Granados. This is that same Adrian Granados who stepped in there and went life and limb with Sean Porter. But all of a sudden, the language, Mitch, you're using is, oh, just because Errol Spence is coming back from a car crash, Danny Garcia is supposed to be a tune-up. No, he said he didn't want a light touch. So he considered Danny Garcia to be a fighter that was credible enough that people weren't criticizing him for just picking a soft touch. So a tune-up is not in reality a bad thing. A tune-up is a person that you say, okay, let me fight this person. It's really nobody else out there for him to fight, really, besides Terrence Crawford that will be considered a legitimate comeback fight. I mean, I'm talking about letting your nuts hang and jumping in there with Terrence Crawford coming off an accident. That is the only fight that I wanted to see. But if we're trying to make our way to undisputed for the welterweight division, Manny Pacquiao was just sitting out there doing whatever. So I believe Errol Spence, man, I just look at shit like this. I'm saying if Errol Spence coming off a car crash and he said, I don't want no soft touches and nothing like that. I'm going to fight Danny Garcia for a tune-up. I don't look at it in a bad way that he was just saying, I want to fight Danny Garcia first on my return. I don't look at it as like him saying, I want to fight Yordenis Ugas. Give me Josecito Lopez, you know. I mean, just give me something like Jesse Vargas. Danny Garcia, you can't say he was just this undefeated guy going in there with Keith Thurman back then with a title, and he's declined since then. His only losses is somewhat like Sean Porter. They went in there and lost against big name opponents there, Mitch. Right or wrong, they've lost against big name opponents. Sean Porter, Kell Brook, Keith Thurman. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they lost against big names at that time. So we can't decline that shit because he stepped in there, you know, with Errol Spence and he took that beating. Hell no. Hell no. And then to hear Errol Spence say he was a C+, you know, at that time. Now he back on point. If that is the case, then goddamn Manny Pacquiao better have the EMT right there. His corner better have the EMT right there, damn 4 feet away from them. Fuck social distancing. Have the EMT come over here, please. I want right here. I want you close. All right. Manny might get stressed out this fight. We want you right here so we can just roll him out beneath the bottom rope onto the stretch and get him up out of here to get medical attention. All right, cool. This is the biggest fight of Spencer's career. I'm expect him to be well conditioned and strong as he ever been in his mind. Right. Spells bad news for Pacquiao. True words, man. It's the biggest name on his boxing career. Absolutely. And it should be the biggest fight of his career. But we're talking about, let's just say Manny Pacquiao was 49, 50 years old. And Errol Spence was just putting Manny Pacquiao on his resume. Is it still the biggest fight on his career? If Manny Pacquiao is 50 years old? No. It's just the biggest name of his career. But a lot of people are giving Manny Pacquiao the credit. Why? Because he was able to go defeat Keith Thurman back in July 2019. If Pac-Man somehow miraculously pulled this off, I expect Floyd Mayweather to lose his fucking mind. Man. Okay. See, Mitch trying to start some shit. You know damn well if Manny Pacquiao defeats Errol Spence, Floyd Mayweather is getting with Leonard Ellaby. Leonard, call Manny Pacquiao. I want that fight. They want a rematch? Okay, cool. I give him a rematch. And I'm gonna be honest with you, Florida still beat Manny Pacquiao right now. Seeing what he was able to do against a big ass heavyweight who goddamn called themselves being 26 years old, and Floyd was walking in there with the Winky Wright-esque high guard, the Lamont Peterson high guard, and he did get touched up, but he looked pretty decent. I think Floyd Mayweather get on the phone and say, give me that fight. I'm about to scoop those titles off Manny Pacquiao. WBC, WBA, IBF title. Yeah, call that up. I want to make this check. Let's go. We're going to fight in Vegas. We're going to charge everybody $100 PPV. I bet Manny Pacquiao stay around then. That's going to be the lick that Floyd Mayweather is looking for. So I have to digress from that conversation because that's a whole nother conversation, Mitch. Spence is capable of seriously hurting Pac-Man for sure. I'm trying to tell him, man, he's absolutely capable of giving Manny Pacquiao a beating. Come back, I feel you, but Danny was nobody tune up in 2017. That's all I'm saying. Look, Mitch. A tune-up is just language. A tune-up is just a placement. It's just a placement fighter. It's just a name that you're fighting before you fight the other. Like, I would call this a tune-up. When a fighter steps into the ring with a fighter and he's already signed to face another, i.e. Canelo Alvarez stepping in there with Abner Yildirim. Even though Abner Yildirim was so-called a Mandy, Billy Joe Saunders was already signed. Use Canelo again. Chavez Jr., he was already signed to face Gennady after that. He's just going in there fighting a little tune-up or whatever. But just because Errol Spence say, well, I'm coming back off accident and I want a tune-up, is Danny Garcia really a tune-up? If he's ranked the top 1 and 2, you know what I'm saying? Is he truly a tune-up, or people just running with the narrative that Errol Spence said he wanted to tune up before he returned to the ring? Ponder that shit a bit. You know what I'm saying? Language is everything. You know what they say about the tongue? The tongue is a sword to life and death. People listen to the words. And in boxing, man, bum. Just because a fighter calls somebody a bum, are you going to say, well, that fighter is a bum because Errol Spence says a bum? No, Errol Spence just say, man, you know what? I'm not taking an easy fight. I'm going to fight a tune-up or whatever. And Danny Garcia happened to be that guy. I don't see Danny Garcia being a tune-up at 2 losses, only 2 losses. 2 losses now before he stepped in there with Errol Spence. You got to give him that credit, bro. Real talk, you got to give him that credit. You have to give Danny Garcia the little bit of ounce of credit. Believe me, I'm not advocating for Danny Garcia, but I wouldn't consider him a tune-up because dude only had 2 losses in that motherfucker, dog. How many losses did Sean Porter have before he stepped in and fought Errol Spence, shouty? Come on, Mitch. How many losses did Sean Porter have? You gonna call him a tune-up just because the language wasn't used? Are you gonna call Sean Porter a tune-up? He lost to Kell Brook and he lost to Keith Thurman. So if he walks in there with those losses to face Errol Spence for that WBC title, is he a tune-up? Or you're gonna say, oh, that was for the unified titles. Well, hell. Shit. When Errol Spence came back with Danny Garcia, was the titles on the line? It's just all about language, man. That's what Errol Spence chose to use, a tune-up fight. So we all know what it is. It's not a huge deal. You know what I'm saying? It's not a huge deal. But I'm just saying you got to put that in perspective with Sean Porter. You know, before he stepped in there with Errol Spence, he had the same amount of losses as Danny Garcia, big dog. Was he a tune-up? He's not going to be a tune-up because of what? Because he was able to fight Danny Garcia for the WBC. So y'all looking at it like, nah, that was a unified and this and that. But I'm looking at this too as Danny Garcia stepping in there for the titles too. Danny Garcia's last fight was coming off Sean Porter for the vacant WBC. Danny Garcia and Sean Porter had the same amount of losses heading into the Errol Spence fight. Real talk. Danny Garcia's style made him a tune-up. Spence and Derrick James knew exactly what Danny would do and how he would fight. I agree with that. And so did Kenny Porter and Sean Porter. See, the big problem with Danny Garcia is somehow within his camp, he chooses not to get rid of certain people that's holding a prominent role on his team or whatever that he may feel a sense of loyalty to, like his pops. I don't know. But I'm telling you like this. A lot of people was picking up on what Danny Garcia chose not to change up his style. They'll give him power. They'll give him credit for his power. Him never being knocked out. It's plenty of fighters that get credit for not being knocked out. But I'm just saying. I mean, when it comes down to Danny Garcia, man, he became unpredictable. There was no growth. You know, coming in the ring with the stale face. And people looking to say, okay, what Danny Garcia going to do? Well, he gave you the same shit. He was waiting to land a big hand against Thurman. Did it. Nothing happened. He was waiting to land his big right hand on Sean Porter. It did. Nothing happened. Finally, you know, he cracked Adrian Granados, got him up out of there. And then with the distance with Ivan Redcash. Come on, man. No growth. He got his ass stumped and beat by Errol Spence. No growth. Still got paid, though. Shout out to Swift. But that's a good point there, Mitch, about his style. You know what I'm saying? Blueprint salute. I'm hearing they throwing Keith a Porter rematch. That's not a bad fight. Salute to Blueprint in the house. That's not a bad fight. Real talk. That's not a bad fight. In 2021, Porter is visibly a better fighter than Danny Garcia. Yeah. I mean, you know, you're looking at his last fight, coming off that fight with, you know, potential fight of the year with Errol Spence. Yeah. Of course. But you know, we can look at it like this too. On the fight he had with Errol Spence. We can look at it like this. Sean Porter beat Danny Garcia for the belt. He beat Danny Garcia for the belt. So he already had momentum over Danny Garcia. You know what I'm saying? So if you're saying in 2021, Porter's visibly better fight than Danny Garcia, he beat Danny Garcia back in 2018, man. So he's a better fighter leading up to the fight. You know what I'm saying? He was already a better fighter, man. When he stepped in there with Errol Spence, he put on a hell of a performance. And we can say potential fighter of the year, and we need to salute them cats for that. Just unfortunately, it was marred by a car accident that could have been tragic. It could have been extremely tragic. We would have been always looking back at that shit like, man, what would have happened with that Errol Spence Terrence Crawford fight if he wouldn't have got behind the wheel? Man, I missed that, man. I just always think about that. You know, this would be the talk of the town, man, with a fight like this. What if Manny Pacquiao was fighting Terrence Crawford? We will always think about Errol Spence. Jay Dixon in the building. What's good? Spence was planning on fighting Danny next before the accident anyway. True. But see, I look at it like this also. What was the purpose for that, Jay? Like, what was the purpose for Spence before the accident fighting him? What was the purpose? I'm just saying, what had been the purpose for Spence fighting Danny Garcia after Danny Garcia had already stepped in there with Sean Porter and Errol Spence defeated Sean Porter? It's just boxing, right? I don't fucking know. I don't know what would have been the purpose for Errol Spence fighting Danny Garcia. Danny just shows up for a check at 147. Check the box on that. And you know, it's so much to the point where somebody who hasn't been stopped and only has 3 losses, I think Danny Garcia probably has like 3 more good paychecks in him. Seriously. He's talking about moving up to 54. He's gonna get smashed, man. He's gonna get smashed. Look, he might take a beating just like Jerry Hurd took against Luis Arias. And Hurd is a good dude, man. But he took some punishment. No, I'll take that back because his face wasn't all fucked up. But he took some punishment. Hurd might be blessed with his face not swelling easy, but Arias might just not have that power. Seriously. But he was blasting. Look, Arias was blasting Hurd. That was the best fight of the night. Real talk. That was the best fight of the night. Can't call Porter a tune-up because he was WBC champ at the time. But he only had 2 losses. And both fights were championship fights. Was Errol Spence not defending his titles? Both fights were championship fights, right? It just so happened that when Danny Garcia stepped in there, what? That's all I'm saying. Like, they had the same amount of losses walking in these fights. What was the difference? Just tell me. You say you can't call Porter a tune-up because he's a WBC champion. But I'm saying it's just language. That's all it was. It was somewhat similar between Porter and Danny Garcia. It was somewhat similar. Porter did have a strap, yes. But it was a championship fight for Danny Garcia too. He just was fighting somebody who was coming back off a horrific car accident. Virgil versus Green Machine Kavalauskas next. When I see that, I just look at it like, are we going to get the same Kavalauskas that we got with Terrence Crawford? Are we going to get that Green Machine that put that pressure on Crawford, that gave us an exciting fight? That's we don't want. It's just like Ivan Redcash going the distance with Danny Garcia, but when he faces Regis Prograis, it's a whole nother story. He's rolling all over the mat, and I don't want to see that shit with Kavaliauskas because he should give Virgil Hill some good work. He should give Virgil Hill some good, solid work. If Virgil Ortiz rather, I'm saying Virgil Ortiz goes in there and destroys Kavaliauskas. I'm like, boxing, man, that shit doesn't stay consistent when these fighters, aren't popular names. Like Kavaliauskas, man, he has legitimate history to him. You know what I'm saying? The man only has one loss, and that came from down Terrence Crawford. I'll say it was a filler fight because he couldn't get the other belt. Hey, the language, right? I just say it was his comeback fight. That's how I put it. It was his comeback fight. Errol Spence came back and he fought Danny Garcia. That's all I can say on that. He fought Danny Garcia in the comeback. Danny should try to rematch Keith and Sean and call it a day, especially if he keeps the same trainer. Yes, sir. Make all the sense in the world, don't it? Two big names. Keith Thurman, still a big name. He only has one loss. And then Sean Porter. Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly with that, Jay. Real talk. That makes a lot of sense. Garcia was number one in WBC rankings. I know. I said that earlier. He was high on the rankings. People just kept him high in the rankings. He was the best option to get a defense out the way and wait on Pac-Man. I agree with all that. But one thing you left off was tune-up. If you word it like that, we good. I agree. I don't have nothing to say about that. You're absolutely right. But it's absolutely absent of the word tune-up because I don't see Danny Garcia being a tune-up for Spence. But in that narrative that you just put, totally understand. I agree with it. Wouldn't mind seeing Danny versus Bud. Curious if Bud can stop Danny. And here goes another one. That would be a good fight. Another big name for Danny Garcia to pick up a nice check. But somehow, some way, I mean, that's a fight that, man, when it comes to Bud, it's so complex, man. So the good thing about him, the hourglass is being flipped over time and time again when it comes to his contract expiring. He's gonna be up out of there, hopefully. So we'll see how the backside of his career happens once his contract has expired with Top Rank. We need to see who he'll fight. That'll be a good fight, him and Danny. That'll be a good fight because Danny Garcia is a bigger name than Josecito Lopez. Good fight. And if Terrence Crawford goes in there and stop Danny Garcia for the first time and Errol Spence couldn't do it, that would only hype up the fantasy welterweight undisputed bout that people have been and clamoring about for the longest of time. That would be common opponents between the two and everything. Right now, that is the biggest, that's the biggest deal of all, the common opponents. The only common opponent they have right now is Kell Brook. 2 different years, right? Two different years. Where's Ray Robinson? Good question. You have to understand everybody's management is different. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's management is different. And some names like Ray Robinson, which people feel that he is a solid fighter, it's another reason why they're not being able to step up and fight some of the bigger names. For a minute, Jerome Ennis was in the same position. He just couldn't get those big fights because he was tied in with Victory Promotions, with Menendorf. Finally, that's gone. And now he's able to spread his wings and fly, goddammit. I'm not saying he may not owe certain people certain things, but let's just look at it for the way it is. Jerome Ennis said he's now free to do what he wants, and he has some pretty decent fights coming up. So yeah, we look forward to that. Honestly, Porter should have been a tune-up fight for Spence as well. The bullshit almost caught up. Honestly, Porter should have been a tune-up fight for Spence as well. The bullshit almost caught up to Spence, but he got the job done. I would say I would reiterate what Spence mentioned. Spence said he made it hard on himself by weighing about, around 189 pounds. So I totally get what you're saying on that. You're saying that Spence would have maximized, his training ability and not been drinking or doing whatever he was doing outside the ring. He could have made the Porter fight that much easier. I agree with you. But those are narratives that we need to just not try to bleed over into the outcome we already know about in hindsight. We can't bleed those into the narrative, into the results in hindsight. You know what I'm saying? Because it was much different. If he spent most of his fight camp losing weight, that's his own fight. I mean, that's his own problem. If he spent most of his fight camp losing weight, that was his own problem. To a fighter like Sean Porter, comes in on weight and he shows up and perform. Yeah, he should have been somewhat like an easier fight for Errol Spence, but it wasn't the case. So I can't bleed over into a hindsight, to a result in hindsight to say what it could potentially should have been. Nah. Errol Spence did what he's supposed to do, man. Real talk. I salute him for that. Danny versus Bud ain't a nice check. Not fucking with Bob and Top Gank. Man, Danny and Bud needs to happen. I believe Bud he's resolved from his contract in October this year, right? I believe. Danny fills up the Barclays Center. I think Bud versus Danny would do solid. It would. But look, we have to start putting the pieces together in 2021, right? Let's just say in August, he goes in there and beat Manny Pacquiao. Is it time remaining in the year to have an Errol Spence Terrence Crawford fight? I don't think so. Because if it's for real, Terrence Crawford, he's going to have a fight coming up too. And I think it's going to be after August. So we won't see Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence, quote unquote, to 2021 if indeed it's an actual fight. You know what I'm saying? We won't see any of it. If it's actually coming to fruition, I don't see it happening in 2022. If by chance it doesn't happen, then Terrence Crawford continue to make some checks, put Danny in there, see how he does if he doesn't go to 154. See how that whole situation plays out. It's a lot of fights that I would like to see Terrence Crawford in there. But we kind of talking about Errol Spence right now. I mean, I'm pretty sure if he's able to get that third belt, I don't know, man. I can't call it with Errol Spence. I'm not even going to put myself through the hazing. I'm not even going to haze myself like that. Fuck it. Because Errol Spence be talking out his head sometime with this shit. He win the belt with Manny, he say some dumb shit on the mic. Well, I hope Terrence Crawford don't think it's 50-50 now. It's 90-10 now. I got the third belt. It's 90-10. Take it or leave it. It's 90-10. It's 90-10. If you want it, come get it. But that's what you get, 90-10. I don't want to hear this shit no more. I'm not going to be happy about that fight until they say they're in negotiations. Terrence Bud Crawford and Errol Spence are in negotiation. That's when I'm going to start saying, okay, I'm going to raise one eyebrow like The Rock. I'm saying, okay, interesting. That's it. I want to see Conor Benn versus Rashidi Ellis. These young guys gotta mix it up. Yeah, I like Conor Benn. He's very entertaining. Seriously. He's very entertaining, man. I would definitely like to see that fight. No doubt. I'd definitely like to see Conor Ben. He's entertaining as shit. For him to go in there and get a stoppage his last fight. Oh my God. What are we talking about? What are we talking about, man? At one time, they were saying, oh, Conor Ben don't have power. Conor Ben, hey, he's entertaining, bro. Y'all keep your eye out for Conor Ben, man. Sheedy Ellis, too, man. It's a lot of talent in the sport. If these guys would actually fight, boxing would shine. We know that ingredient to boxing is left out some of the time. We're cooking up a best fight the best. We know that ingredient is left out, J.A. That shit is left out, dog. That little pepper, put a little spice up in there. That shit is left out. They put sugar in when they're supposed to be putting the damn pepper and spice it up just a little bit. They put sugar in there. They tease you with a sugar hit and then they take that shit away. We need that ingredient to stay in there heavy. Keep it hot, keep it spicy, and have the best fight the best. That's all we want. Danny and Bud won't fight each other. LOL. I don't know, man. They have to figure it out. That's why when I hear people talking about Floyd Mayweather disgraced the sport of boxing, I'm saying to myself, boxing has done that to itself. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot that goes on in boxing that has already diminished the sport quite deeply over the amount of decades. We're talking about a sport. Look, listen to me. We will have people that look at a Floyd Mayweather fight after all he's did for the sport and say just because he went the distance with Logan Paul is a problem. But yet they won't look at how long boxing has been in existence and how I don't want to use the word oppressed. I would use the word restricted. How restricted boxing was during the pandemic. How many fighters suffered. Boxing has been around for decades and you couldn't exist during a pandemic. You have to blame the sport. You have to blame everything that encapsulates the sport for decades. You can't just blame one person and saying, oh, they have disgraced the sport. Then if Mayweather has disgraced the sport, we have to go back to all the other people who have made a name for themselves by so-called disgracing the sport. It didn't stop the sport then, and nothing that went off this Sunday night is going to stop it either. Because I think it's more people that's hating than anything else. Because it was sportsmanship shown at the end. Floyd Mayweather said he was better than I thought. He carried Logan Paul to the final bell. He really don't care what anybody else is saying. Like, it truly was like Floyd was in there with the heavyweight and he was a welterweight. And he did great. Floyd Mayweather did great. So for you media segues is out there to put that on your thumbnail. Believe me, I want to call your name, boy. I ain't give you no shine. You sitting up here saying Floyd disgraced the sport. No, you disgracing the little shit, the little relevancy that YouTube has to allow us a platform. You're disgracing it by coming at Floyd like that just because he went in there and fought an exhibition. Not his first one. He even had the same amount of regulated time per round. How's that a disgrace? What if it was 1 minute rounds? They was going 8 1 minute rounds. What if Floyd was holding like Logan Paul the same fight? Man, get out of here. Danny and Bud won't fight each other. What up, Mikey and Castillo Clayton? Hey, man, Mikey Garcia, he's a 4th division champ. He can do what the fuck he want. You know what I'm saying? I'm not really keeping an eye or keeping a tab on Mikey Garcia because it's just like when he fights somebody of relevance, in my opinion, like make a run again, because I think Mikey's going to hang around, to the point where he can slide in and pick up a championship. Mikey's trying to become a 5 division champion. He's just trying to hang around. He's trying to monger until the belts are fragmented And Mikey gonna say, "Oh, thank you. I think I'm gonna go up the WBA route. I'm gonna pick up that WBA regular." I'm telling you, watch what I'm saying. Watch. Mikey's trying to become a 5-division champ. When that happens, he's out the sport. I think we have a better chance of meeting Al Heyman in person than seeing EJ Budd. You ain't never lied, man. You ain't never lied. And we got a better chance of me going live and shit and say, guess who I ran into out here on the street? Al Heyman. Hey, what's up, big dog? I didn't even think you existed. Never seen you in life. For real. I think that'll happen first, man. I got Blair, the Flair Cobbs over Conor Ben. Styles make fights, man. We'll see. Styles make fights. The same people are silent when Chavez Jr. and Senior have their exhibition fights. See, that is something I mentioned before. That he, when he had his last exhibition fight, and people wasn't saying shit about it. They really don't care. See, they don't care about Chavez Senior and Jr., but they care about Floyd because Floyd is still fresh in the minds of boxing in this era. Floyd Mayweather is still one of those fighters they love to hate. They say, oh, God, Floyd over here doing this shit again, man. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of seeing him succeed. He fought that little undersized. What weight was that Japanese? He's a super featherweight, a super bantamweight, rather. Was he a super bantamweight? Was he a super featherweight? What was he? He was undersized, right? So Floyd goes in there and washes him. Makes it easy 9 million. And people saying that he's diminished, he's disgracing the sport. Because it was said that he may potentially make over $50 million. That's a lot of fucking money, people. Ooh-wee. People, I have to get this UFC 63 out the way. It's going down. This fight is going down this weekend. And once again, I look at it like this with Carissa Shields and Brittany Elkin. All right. Carissa Shields is looking to somehow create a neighboring income in a secondary. When I say secondary, I'm not talking about levels. I'm just talking about outside of her primary full-time combat sport, right? She's going over there to PFL. But also the UFC 263 is going on. You have 2 championship fights, y'all. You have Israel Adesanya going in there against Marvin Vettori. This is a rematch. Now what's going to be different for this is Israel Adesanya is coming off his first loss by attempting to move up the light heavyweight and challenging Juan Blachowicz. Many people, including myself, thought, okay, being that Adesanya was a previous kickboxer going over the mixed martial arts, he was going to be able to go in there and keep his distance and land some kicks and, use his stand-up striking game to blast on Juan Blachowicz. But what happened? What do you do with fighters that are rangy and has that length both in their hands and legs in mixed martial arts? You close in. You keep close. You get in on them, right? And that's exactly what Juan Blachowicz did. He was able to get in close on Adesanya, use that natural 205 strength that he has, and take Adesanya down. And he was able to dominate because once Adesanya was on his back, he ticked away those times. So he was controlling the action. And he handed Adesanya his first loss. And this was a 5. This was for the belt, y'all. A 5-round, 5-minute affair. Carissa Shields is competing with the UFC in her PFL debut. It's tough. It's going to be extremely tough because you have to look at it like this. There's some hardcore mixed martial arts fans out there that's going to look at this and they don't look. They're not even going to juggle the notion to say, let me see. Should we listen? Who is that girl again that's coming from boxing? Oh, I think they call it Shields. Shit. This is her debut? Yeah. Man. MMA fans will say some shit like, man, I ain't fucking, man, I ain't watching that shit. The reason why MMA fans will feel some type of way about Claressa Shields' fight is because I believe Claressa Shields is the main event, right? She's bringing her star power, which is diminished over here in boxing, but yet they're putting her on the main event and her debut over in mixed martial arts. What does that tell you about this disgraced sport of boxing? You have individuals that's out here saying that I don't want to elevate women to 12-round fights and 3-minute rounds. But you go to mixed martial arts where women are equally competing on the same time scale as the men when it comes to rounds. They're fighting 5 minutes per round. And if it's a championship fight, the maximum is 5 rounds. Claressa Shields is going in there fighting on the main event. Is she? I mean, how, like, once again, how can you go from a sport with all those accomplishments and they don't show you that love, but you go over here to debut of PFL, Professional Fighters League? So back to what I was saying about the UFC. It's a tough night to compete and going up against UFC 263 with Israel Adesanya. See, Israel Adesanya just lost moving up in weight to challenge someone. His fans are still going to cheer him the same because he attempted to take a risk and move up from 185 to 205 and lost. If that was boxing, they would be like, man, he lost, man. Fuck that. He a bum. Don't nobody want to see that fight. Or they may not even make the fight. How do you get fights like that? Why don't fights like this happen more often than boxing? You remember how I used to tell y'all months ago about Errol Spence moving up and facing Jermell Charlo? You know, some people was like, damn, that makes a lot of sense. You know, this, that, and the other. It goes down in mixed martial arts like that. They have no problem with a fighter moving up in weight and challenging the next champion. They don't have a problem with it. Look at Amanda Nunes. She's the 135-pound champion. And then she's the 145-pound champion. She defeated Chris Cyborg. To this day, she's the champion. Let me tell you how mixed martial arts is doing it this weekend. Claressa Shields is not even fighting for a championship, but she has a name. If by chance Claressa gets that love that she's looking for in PFL, I think she's going to frequent mixed martial arts. If her paychecks start to rise and they can continue to feed her opponents that she can win, it would be great for her to just moonlight. I mean, do more than moonlighting over there at mixed martial arts. Stay over there, gather up her name, and have boxing fans yearning for her to come back over to the sport of boxing. Stay over there long enough for people to miss you. Ask you in the media, hey, Claressa, it's good to see you again. Hey, congratulations on that MMA debut. Do you know when you're going to be planning on returning to boxing? Claressa Shields should say some shit like, I don't know right now. I'm liking mixed martial arts. I'm liking how they treat me, and I'm liking the pay that I'm getting. Period. Either two things. People are going to be yearning for to fight somebody that's up and coming. So then Claressa Shields has the leverage to come back and say, I ain't coming back unless you pay me this. I want millions, goddammit. Pay me motherfucking millions for my credentials. Back to Israel Adesanya and Marvin Vettori. Marvin Vettori was the hardest fight of Israel Adesanya run in the UFC. I didn't think Adesanya would be able to succeed as much as he did, all the way up to a championship fight. I was absolutely, a little taken back that he went in there and beat Robert Whittaker the way he did. Robert Whittaker had the wrong game plan for a rangy fighter like Adesanya. He should have used somewhat more patience, and if he was going to get in close, he should have, tried to deplete the energy of Adesanya by pressing him up against the cage and try to see if he was a stronger fighter on the inside. Inside of mixed martial arts can be the clinch game, dirty boxing, wherever you want it to be, you have a lot more tools to use. Vettori has looked nice since his loss, his split decision loss to Adesanya. He has looked nice. He's a strong fighter. He can keep it on the feet if he wants to. And Adesanya is not able. He's not going to be able to take him down like that. Like I'm curious to see if Adesanya can stop or shut Vettori down if the fight stays on his feet, because Vettori has gotten much better with his stand-up game. And he's not a fighter that you're going to go in, that you're going to change levels and get a takedown, especially coming from Adesanya. That is the heel of his striking game right now, his overall game. Adesanya is not one of those threats like John Jones where he's going to close distance and shoot for a single or double. He's not that guy. His background is kickboxing, and he's had success with earning the championship in the middleweight division by using his legs and his hands. Fighters are, looking at this. You know what I'm saying? We thought Yoel Romero, Olympic wrestler, would be able to go in there, but Yoel Romero and Israel Adesanya was one of the worst fights in MMA history. For real. It was bad. I thought definitely he was going to test the hips of Adesanya, but he didn't. Marvin Vettori, though, I think after seeing that Juan Blachowicz fight, this should be a very solid competition between these two. You know what I'm saying? This weekend. I'm telling you, they have two championship fights, and they have a name that's returning back to the square. I mean, to the ring that I'm about to mention. The co-main event is going to be Davis and Figueiredo, man. Davis and Figueiredo, who fought Joseph Benavidez. Team Alpha Male. He fought him for the vacant, knocked him out, but he missed weight. You know what I'm saying? So he had to come back, fight Benavidez again, knocked him out, came the champion, and now he has a little small blossoming rivalry, man. I like it. He has a small blossoming rivalry versus Marino. I like it. And this is the 125 pounds, a division where Demetrius Johnson used to dominate. 11 title defenses, y'all. 11 world championships. 11. Demetrius Johnson dominated the 125-pound division. So when he was defeated by Henry Cejudo retired because he was like, shit, I did everything I needed to do. I was a 125-pound champion, 135-pound champion. So who took over? Davis and Figueiredo. Benavidez came in there, fought for the vacant. He missed weight. Dana White gave him an opportunity to come back again. He made weight. He became the champion. Keep your eye out for that co-main event. It's going to be on point. And then my man, Nate Diaz. If y'all don't remember Nate Diaz, right? He's been in the game. He was doing that shit Conor McGregor was doing long before Conor McGregor was doing it. Nate Diaz is returning back to the cage. It's been a long time, y'all, since Nate Diaz has returned to the cage. A long freaking time. So much to the point where a lot of people looking at this fight like, how can Nate Diaz, always be the main event and he take that much time out the ring? You know what I'm saying? So let's look at the last time that Nate Diaz, who has a record of 20 victories and 12 defeats, people, and never been a champion inside the UFC cage. The last time he was in the cage was 2019, November 2019, people. And how much star power Nate Diaz has. He's returned back to the cage from being out in November 2019. And he comes back and he's on the main event against Leon Edwards. Who does that? Look, he comes in here fights August of 2019. After he was out of the ring from 2016 when his rematch with Conor McGregor, returned back August 2019, y'all. 2016 to 2019, and he's on the main event. He fight Anthony Pettis and wins unanimous decision, which sets up the fight between Jorge Masvidal. He's returned November 2019, and I mean, he didn't quit. Jorge caught him with a damn good kick to the head, and I was like, damn, Nate Diaz might get put out. He doesn't get stopped often. For real, Nate Diaz, he doesn't get stopped often. I think the only other person to stop Nate Diaz from a kick like Jorge Masvidal was Josh the Punk Thompson. Yes, sir. If you follow the sport, man, you know what it is. I'm talking that shit. So let's look at the Conor McGregor rematch that sent Conor over there to fight Floyd Mayweather. That was his last fight before Conor went over to boxing. Then he returned. He won against Anthony Pettis, and he lost to Jorge Masvidal due to a cut he suffered. So he's been out since 2019, and he's returning to fight Leon Edwards. And Leon Edwards is coming off an early round stoppage. For whatever reason, I guess it was a technical. His opponent was complaining about his eye, and they were saying it was pretty much a punch. It was one of those weird situations for Leon Edwards. A lot of people was pretty much waiting on his return, but they turned into a no contest because of eye poke. You know what I'm saying? So he was supposed to come back in April of this year and fight Nate Diaz, and the fight was canceled. I think Leon Edwards had COVID or something like that. I'm not sure. But now Nate Diaz returns to the main event again to face Leon Edwards, who has a record of 18-3. I know you're saying to yourself, who the fuck is Leon Edwards? That's what a lot of people are saying. Like Leon Edwards is that guy who's looking for a big name, on his resume. And he has some pretty good wins on his resume, man. His loss has been to Kamaru Usman. That was his last loss back in 2015. Yes, the same Kamaru Usman who is the current reigning, defending welterweight world champion in mixed martial arts under the UFC banner. He lost the decision to Kamaru Usman. That was before he was champion. So he's been in there with the likes of Vicente Luque. You know what I'm saying? Donald Cowboy Cerrone, Gunnar Nelson, Rafael Dos Anjos. He has a little bit of pretty decent names on there, but not the big names. And a lot of you may saying like, well, Nate Diaz is not a huge name either. Nate Diaz has star power just like Danny Garcia. All right. Nate Diaz has star power in mixed martial arts for being able to put in that work early. Him and his brother Nick is still respected in the sport. It's just up to you, the mixed martial arts fan, on whether you like the Diaz brothers or not. Enough to tune in to UFC 63 and understand that they're going to be on the main card. It's going to be Leon Edwards and Nate Diaz, and then co-main event, it's going to be Davis and Figueiredo against Brandon Moreno. And then the main event is going to be Israel Adesanya versus Marvin Vettori. Middleweight, flyweight, welterweight. Leon Edwards is only 29 years old. He has time left in the sport, but he's what I used to consider Kamaru Usman. He's not trying to put forth that effort to be exciting. You know what I'm saying? When is he going to turn the curve like Kamaru? Kamaru Usman has turned the curve. Usman has turned the curve, obviously. And he's motherfucking downhill right now. Like his speed's so fast. He can't be stopped, goddammit. Leon Edwards is that guy right now. People think he's boring. He don't say much, but he can fight. Leon Edwards can motherfucking fight, dog. And Nate Diaz, he's tough as shit. He can fight, but he has a lot of goddamn scar tissue. I'm gonna be honest with you. He has a lot of scar tissue, people. So if you really want to rock with the UFC card right now, man, that's the main card. Those some big names that's on there, and you can take it how you want it. I don't want to see Spence versus Charlo, just like I don't want to see Usman versus Stylebender. Mitch, two different scenarios right there. Two different scenarios. Usman and Stylebender is not in the same camp. They're not in the same camp. They're not. And when it comes to the weight difference, we all know how many pounds are in between Spence and Charlo. From 147 to 54. We already know we can take those amount of pounds, and then you go from Usman 170 to Stylebender's 185. Significant difference, right? Significant difference. Right there, Mitch. Significant. You're looking at 170 to 185, dog. That's 15 pounds. Verse 7. That's a lot of weight when you try to compare the two guys fighting one another. That's why I'm saying I fuck with MMA, man. The shit they're doing over there, people act like it's just impossible in boxing. They move up and down in weight all the time and make good fights all the time. Look at Max Holloway. Max Holloway was the reigning defending featherweight titleist when he stepped in there with Dustin Poirier for the interim championship to fight Khabib the Nurmagomedov at lightweight at 155 pounds. Max Holloway moved up from 145 to 155, a 10-pound difference to fight a 55er in Dustin Poirier, a true 55er. And he put on a good account of himself. After the fight was done, he moved back down to featherweight. Spence versus Charlo is a damn good fight, man. Unfortunately, I don't think they really, listen to what I'm trying to tell them to make their legacy. They have all the motherfucking hardware where it belongs. It's all the hardware. It's just like the UK trying to get all the heavyweight hardware. Guess what? Spence and Charlo have all the hardware to make history. All they have to do is convince the fans of what's really going on. That's all they have to do. They just have to convince the fans that this shit is real. They can play around. They both in Texas. Listen, this is the perfect scenario, like I said. I'll get back to it, though. But y'all check out that UFC 263 fight between Israel Adesanya, who's 20-1. He just faced his first loss. Moving up in weight to 185. From 185 to 205. All right? 185 to 205. And he ended up losing. But yet, he's stepping in there with another solid competitor in Marvin Vettori to defend his title. That's good shit. And then the co-main event is going to be Davidson Figueiredo against Brandon Moreno. And then we got Nate Diaz coming back. And he's facing Leon Edwards. However, I do want Charlo versus Charlo. Well, every time I say Charlo versus Charlo, people mention their mother. Diaz fan favorite. He's first ballot Hall of Famer. Yeah, for sure. For sure. If they see him as such, you know what I'm saying? Like he was doing the shit Conor McGregor was doing before Conor even got to the man. Come on, man. Anybody who was talking their shit over there in UFC, it was damn the Diaz brothers. Period. I'm surprised Diaz hasn't done any boxing exhibitions yet. I mean, they have their way, man. They like smoking weed though. Had to check a message. But yeah, y'all check that out, man. You know what I'm saying? Show some love to whichever one that you want to watch. To be honest, I know Carissa Shields going down. This ain't got shit to do with, you know, black, support black athletes. I'm doing that. But I'm saying when it comes down to, okay, show support for PFL or what you truly want to watch over here, I just have to look at it like she's making her debut in mixed martial arts. If that's something you want to watch, go ahead and watch it. Go ahead and watch it. But I'm gonna tell you like this: if you're not a hardcore mixed martial arts fan, you're not even gonna know what you're looking at like that. Like you're not even gonna give too much credit for who she's in there with, because it's not a big name. It's not Amanda Nunes. See, a lot of people say, okay, you got boxing, then you have UFC. They truly believe that UFC is a sport. The UFC is not a sport. It's a promotion. So they really can't attach Carissa Shields to a Chris Cyborg, Amanda Nunes. Chris Cyborg, even though she's a champion in Bellator, they still cannot attach her to the success standing across a cage as a Chris Cyborg, Amanda Nunes, Valentina Shevchenko, Holly Holmes, Kayla Harrison. They just can't place her in that category of Ronda Rousey. She's just not experienced yet for that. Plus, it's her debut. It's different from her debut in boxing because you have to look at it like, are you a mixed martial arts fan? Are you a boxing fan? Boxing fans, they go off, oh man, that's so-and-so from my hometown. I'm gonna check them out. So they'll check you out. But her crossing over from Flint, Michigan over to mixed martial arts, it's not a huge MMA following coming out of Flint, Michigan. I know she has a name over here in boxing. I'm just curious to see how the fight's gonna look. Is it gonna look like Chad Johnson and Brian Maxwell on this preview card Sunday? Is it going to be a lot of running around, or are we going to see some crazy, skills from Carissa using her boxing, using her distance well, feints? Is she going to be able to defend a takedown if it happens from a grappler? If she get put on her back, can she make it back to her feet? If she want to win over boxing fans, if she's able to get taken down and get back to her feet, man, you have no idea how much that is going to matter to the boxing community, because that's big with her going in there with a person who actually competes in grappling tournaments. It's huge. I was wrong. Shields actually fights tomorrow. I didn't like the that Izzy moved to 205 to fight one, but not John Jones. John Jones is a heavyweight, Jade. John Jones is out to sport a heavyweight. It's no way John Jones is going to drop weight that he's gained to potentially face either Stipe Miocic or Francis Ngannou. Y'all hold on for a quick minute. All right, I'm back. All right. I didn't like the Izzy will move to a 5. Look, y'all have to understand this. What's special about mixed martial arts is that they can move up in weight and earn championship belts for their legacy and move back down. They can do it. And it's not just 5 pounds, and shit like that. Unless you're talking about from flyweight to bantamweight to featherweight. It gets shaky real quick. Like, listen to this right here. The lighter guys. Let's say, for instance, let's just say, you're 125er and you want to go to 35. Right off the rip in mixed martial arts, you're looking at a 10-pound difference. Right off the rip. You're looking at a 10-pound difference all the way up to lightweight. All the way up to lightweight now. Lightweight is 155 pounds. Featherweight, 145 pounds. Bantamweight, 135. And then 25. From lightweight to welterweight, it goes from 155, y'all, to 170. You have people that will make that move to attempt to solidify their legacy. You know what I'm saying? It all depends on, their skill set, their experience, and everything else. If I was to say that in boxing, so to speak, what Conor McGregor was able to accomplish. Conor McGregor knocked out Jose Aldo in 13 seconds at 145 pounds when he was draining himself like a skeleton almost, skin on skeleton. He stopped Jose Aldo at 145 pounds and moved all the way up to 170 to face Nate Diaz. Yeah, the same Nate Diaz that's fighting on UFC 263 this week. He got subbed out, though, but he fought him. Returned to a rematch, didn't drop back down in weight, stayed up there and went in for a rematch to face Nate Diaz. Won. Conor McGregor went from 170 back down to 55 to face Chad Mendes and knocked him out. That's legendary shit, like I always say. I don't know if this individuals in boxing that's willing to take a risk like that, or, what cloth you have to be cut from, what your team would say. I don't know, but this shit happens in mixed martial arts, and weight is weight. Like, we're talking about 4-ounce gloves, vice 8 and 10 ounce. You know what I'm saying? We have multifaceted disciplines coming from 100% of your body. Even your head. You can use your head, place it in somebody's jawline when you're on the inside to make them uncomfortable. When you're adjusting for position. You can use every part of your body in some way, shape, or form. I know he's at heavyweight now, but I'm talking about before he moved up. I put it to you this way, Jay. He wasn't ready to face John Jones at that time. When John Jones was the light heavyweight champion, Izzy, he wasn't ready for that shit. He had other shit in mind. Like, he was trying to defend his title. First of all, he was trying to become champion. And when he became champion, he was trying to keep it. You know what I'm saying? So for him to say, okay, John Jones is right there, I'm about to move up. He should have did it without even thinking about defending his title. He should have went in there and got that work. But John Jones is dangerous. John Jones is the GOAT. I call Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. He's one of the GOATs too. But John Jones, man, has never been defeated. Demetrius Johnson has been defeated before in his career. But that was in a different weight class by future Hall of Famer Dominique Cruz. So you have to look at it in that. Like, these dudes be doing some shit over there in mixed martial arts, man. Who's on the undercard versus Teal versus... Man, look it up. Hey, I'll tell you this. Nah, I'm just fucking with your blueprint. I give you 2 fights. You have Matter of fact, it just slipped my mind. Let me look it up once more. Cause I know that they were still building up that card too. But since you asked, let's find out. Because it's not gonna be a huge, heavy card there, Blueprint. You got Franchon Cruz Dezern. Shout out to the champ, super middleweight champ, Franchon Cruz Dezern. She's going in there against Aline Cederos, who's 8-0. Cederos is undefeated. Cruz Dezern is 7-1. You know who our only loss came to? Carissa Shields. You know what I'm saying? Michael Hunter is in there against Mike Wilson. Michael Hunter is 19-1-1, and Mike Wilson is 21-1. Andy Vinces going there against John O'Carroll. That's for the vacant WBC International Silver Super Featherweight title. Triller is not a promotion yet that just gives you an extensive heavy card. I'm pretty sure there's some other names that's going to be on there too. Let me check my press release right quick. Let me check my press release. Oh, I forgot. Also, it's going to be former UFC champion and mixed martial arts, legend Vitor Belfort. He's going to be fighting the real Tarzan, the brother that's the real Tarzan. They're going to be fighting one another, man. That is going to be different. That is going to be different. Vitor Belfort is fighting the real Tarzan. If you know who that guy is, look him up on Google and check him out, man, and see if that's something that's going to entice you. But the main event, of course, is going to be Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos, man. Real talk. That's who that's going to be. Who's on the undercard for Teo? Then Ferguson cut 25 pounds in a week or something crazy. Yeah, man. That's Tony Ferguson, though. Tony Ferguson, man, he is a different type of individual. His mindset, his mental blade is sharp, and he could do some shit like that. He's not the only one I know that's cut like 20 pounds, in a week. I know Jorge Masvidal cut some crazy amount of weight in a week or so with his last minute replacement of Kamaru Usman, I think. It's just been people out there to drop weight like it's cool. Some people can do it, some people can't. And lastly, let me touch on this and I'm out. I gotta take care of some shit. As you heard, the T-Mobile Center is potentially where the fight's going to be between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. So, message to everyone: if you choose to support, the fight's going down next month, July 24th. It's a big deal, the biggest fight of the year. Be sure you check it out. You know what I'm saying? As you look at my thumbnail, absolutely, we expected him to be stretched out, laid out again. This time with no Jack Reese on his knees, begging and pleading for him to come back to life. You know what I'm saying? We're waiting for this to happen. Show your support and just brush off the motherfucking naysayers that's out there that's still dogging out Deontay Wilder. Skip Mark, I'll say this to you. You still talking about you on somebody's neck. You're not on anybody's neck. You say the same shit all the time. You've been seriously quiet on this subject. I see you was on Fred's show last night. You weren't talking about that energy that you usually keeping. That's because you hearing what's been going on. You understand it. People telling you because you have little mutts that run back and tell you like I got to answer to them. But what you keep saying is you're on somebody's neck and now you want to support, you're big on supporting Tyson Fury. And I can understand why that's the case. Because Deontay Wilder is a clean fighter. Isn't that what you said? The reason why you all about Bernard Hopkins, but yet you was talking about me hanging out with Roy Jones and he supposedly popped dirty and he's a drug cheat. Isn't that was you the same person who said that, right? So if you're talking about somehow making these accusations that's unproven against Roy Jones being a drug cheat, but then turn around and supporting these UK fighters heavy for whatever reason that may be, you're supporting the biggest cheat in boxing. So that just goes along with you having no boxing integrity to the sport anyway. None at all. You have no boxing integrity to this sport, period. Because one narrative, if those individuals have ears and intelligence, they will listen to you talk about tearing down a black man. But yet you finish up what you said with Fred last night, and you want to end it with, oh, tearing down a black man. The team is not going to respond to you. So I don't know why you continue to tear down a black man. You chose to close it out and saying, Wilder, stop making excuses. We heard that shit before. We're preparing for next month. Not the same bullshit over and over again. You saying, are we on your neck? Who neck are you on? Nigga, you're 5'2". Wilder's 5'7", 5'8". Who neck are you on? You can't even step that high. So make up your mind, Ethiopian. Are you tearing down a black man, or are you supporting a black man? Because I keep on hearing you can't leave it alone because you hear Skid Mark name out here. You know what I'm saying? You hear WCS talking about Skid Mark. You know what it is. You know that you keep on saying the same thing and the team is not addressing you. But hey, Skid Mark, I'm giving you a little bit of energy. Stop tearing down black man because you're not black. Stop being a racist out here. You know what I'm saying? I understand you're Ethiopian and it's a lot of desires you have in life, but being black is not going to ever be one of your promises that come to fruition. You can never be black. So if you're going to support a drug cheat in Tyson Fury, then do us all a favor. Just say, okay, I'm going to admit to everyone that I'm supporting a drug cheat and I'm contradicting. And a lot of shit that I say don't make any sense. And I like saying rehearse stuff, which over and over again, I say the same rehearse words over and over again. I really don't know shit about boxing unless I rehearse and say the same shit over and over again. Nobody's from Team Wilder's worried about what the fuck you're talking about. There's no need for you to mention Devin Haney's name no more. Aki TV is doing a damn good job with representing the brand than you ever could do. Astute breakdowns. Bill Haney went over to Aki TV because he understood that you was never in the position to speak for the team. He just used you. I mean, that's what happens, man. He just fed you some little monetary coins and shit, quarters, nickels, dimes, pennies, and you went on and did what you have to do. But really, if people want to hear about Devin Haney, they go over to Aki TV. Real talk. Because the people that's over there at Skip Mark's channel, they're not basically doing Devin Haney any good because the same shit is being said. Yeah, they're gonna. Not everybody agree. I give them that. Not everybody agree. But I'm gonna say this. He gonna go in there. He gonna fuck Teofimo up. He gonna go in there. The same shit. No, break the shit down the way it's supposed to be. Make it fair for the audience and the listeners. Make it fair, bro. Just understand this. You have had the invitation for the link several times. You're on my Duck Masters Coalition too. I appreciate you for just validating what I know already. You're a duck. You're a duck. Because I've been on your channel. I gave you the opportunity several times. You know what I'm saying? But you haven't clicked the link on this channel. You have every opportunity. You ever want to talk that boxing shit? You can't go boxing or MMA with me. But you ever want to talk the shit or you want to talk about Wilder? Let's go without saying the same shit all the time. Let's have a discussion about why you feel the way you do And why are you being such an extremist when it comes to hating on Team Wilder all of a sudden? When the man showed you love, the man gave you mad love, props, genuine shout out. And you're going to call the man a bitch. You know, the disrespect. Come on, Skip Mark. Man up, bro. Man up. Leave the dumpster and click that link. Let me know. Tell anybody, you know, who can get in contact with me. Click the link. And those of you hoes that's sitting out there defending this dude, I treat you as you should be treated. I don't give you absolute no attention. Those motherfuckers that's talking about, oh man, I heard him. They're talking about Skip Mark and all that. You hoes that's out here defending this dude, you're just like him. Knowing damn well this dude wouldn't be invited to your home. Know this though, Bomb Squad Nation, keep that same energy. You hoping that Deontay goes in there and gets stretched out next month. Keep that same energy when he gets his title back. Keep the same energy, bro. Don't go nowhere. Don't go silent. Don't go silent, bro. Don't do the black man wrong again, because black men supposed to test each other in challenging controversy, as well as in comfort and convenience. All right? Don't abandon him like you did Lolo already. Lolo deserves better than you to begin with. So don't do that. You're supposed to continue to talk about Lolo and his challenges and tribulations. You don't sit up there and act like, oh man, I don't even want to talk about it. No, you was bigging him up. Support the black man. Support the black man and stop tripping. You're the same dude up here trying to cause a riffraff between Lolo and Michael Williams Jr., dog. But now Lolo takes his first loss and you don't even want to give the man the proper respect to continue to show that he's worthy of being in this boxing game as young as he is. You a hypocrite, dog. You a coward. You want to talk about how young he is in the game, but yet you ain't saying nothing about him. You ain't bigging him up. You should have had that man already on your show for an interview 3, 4, 5 times. But you don't give a fuck. You just use his name, man. Just like you using Wilder's name for clout. Stop motherfucking clout chasing, dog. They say he's half Yemen and Ethiopian. I don't give a fuck what he's Ethiopian, dog. He's Ethiopian. He ain't no half of shit. Half Ethiopian and half mutt. Half monkey. That's what he is. That's what he is. Half roach. All those ingredients combined, goddammit, to make up a unit to exist. That's what he is. Period. Stop ending your lives. You know, stop sitting up here talking about, well, let me end this right quick. We on your neck. You ain't on nobody's neck, nigga. You ain't tall enough. Those of you that tuned in, man, hey, you know what it is. I appreciate y'all for pulling up and talking this boxing shit and MMA. And, you know, continue to drop into the channel. Real talk. I'm not going to make it extensive about, you know, Skip Mark all the time. But you won't be up here, you know, spewing this defamation on a man that's did a lot more than you will ever be able to accomplish in life, man. You're not going to do that. You're not going to support the British fighters and act like that shit cool to tear down a black man over here that's competed at the highest level reigned over 5 years with 11 title defenses. And you're going to try to take that glory away from him, from a man who shows you love? No, it's not happening, bro. I'm going to stay on your motherfucking neck.
Pardon me and my tone. You can't step to my throne. They ain't working like me. I did this on my own. You asking where we been, huh? I don't know where to begin, huh? All this dirt on my skin. I just came here to win. I'm more than a man, I'm a monster. Somebody call a pastor, doctor. I Got a 6 sense for imposters, so now I'm coming for the whole roster. It's not a game, why you playing with me? You could double back, lose frack, try and hang with me. It must be in my veins, something you can't tame, cause I break the chains. Can't control me. I got the power, I got the keys, cause I break the chains. They try to hurt me, I'ma push back, just wait and you'll see. Please excuse me, your honor, but you can't hold me no longer. Can't you feel the vibrations? I broke out and left traces. Go ahead, try catch me if you can, man. You'll be looking all night, I'm the Sandman. New York, London to Japan. I'ma show the whole world who I am. Boom, boom, boom. Major look.